Welcome to the Backpack Podcast, where we unpack your story so others can embrace it. Each week, you can expect captivating stories, tips, and insights to help you grow and develop your business. Now, let's unpack that. Welcome to the Backpack Podcast with your host, Darnell, and this is officially the first episode. Why am I doing the Backpack Podcast? Like, what's the point? I'm glad you asked. So I have been in the field of videography, producing, editing videos for a little bit over 20 plus years. And I have always had the pleasure of meeting some very interesting people. When I say that, I mean, everybody is interesting, I guess, in some way, shape, or form. But with entrepreneurs in particular, because that journey can be lonely. The journey can be lonely. The journey could be up and down. It could be all over the place. You could be doing videos one day and scraping dirt off the ground another. I say that to say it's not always. I heard it said this way. It's not a narrow path. It's a wide path. We go from here to here to here to here. At least for me. You may have been a person that was able to go from A to Z, in a straight line. It just didn't happen for me. So with that being said, I had an opportunity to meet some really cool people and hear their story. How did they get started? Why did they get started? And it always encouraged me, always inspired me, always took me to another level in my faith, in my journey, and allowed me to progress even that much further. So I thought, a couple of things. I love to travel. I love to meet new and interesting people. I love to do video. And I figured, why not put that into a podcast? So my idea is for these podcasts to inspire, incite, influence you starting out a business, or you're in business, or you're starting out a ministry or an idea, and you just need a boost of encouragement. Well, that's the whole point of this podcast. Let us unpack your story. Unpack your story so others can embrace it. That's our thing. Let us unpack your story so that others can embrace it. So, why don't I start out my story? Let me unpack my story so that you all can embrace it. I've got tons of them. And I was thinking when I thought about starting this podcast out, like, where do I start? Where could I start? There were so many places I could begin, but I'm going to start with my, I guess you can say my why, kind of ish, but kind of how I've got into this video, the visually telling stories is. I started out doing a movie. Now, that's not true, but when I say that's not true, it's not really the start, but this is where I'd like to start. This story was really influential for me because a friend of mine came to me some years ago and said, Darnell, hey, man, I wrote this spoken word, and what that is it's kind of poetry with a rhythm. I could be totally off, but this is the way I interpret it. It's poetry with a rhythm and a cadence, and really the delivery is always really, really cool. And it's called Sin. And he presented the idea to me, and he said, Darnell, I'd love for you to see if you can help me write this into a script. I'd never written a script before, but I'll tell you, I'm a why not type of person. Why not me? And that'll be another podcast. But I thought, why not? Now at this point, I had done some plays. I had written plays. Again, a new adventure. I said, why not? I feel like I was a storyteller, so I wrote some plays and actually got produced and actually directed and was able to perform them, but never a screenplay. So we got together, we sat down, and we began to write. We sat down at my house, and we would go back and forth to dialogue. And when I tell you, it was exhilarating to see these characters come to life in front of us. It was an absolute joy. So we did that for some time until we actually finished the script. And then we thought, okay, what do we do now? I had no idea. I just thought we wrote the script, maybe magically somebody will take the script and then produce it and do the movie. But that's not how it happened. So we wrote the script, and now the friend of mine is Carlos Houston. It's anyway, Carlos. When he hears this podcast, he'll laugh because I'm calling him my friend, and he'll laugh at that statement because of an inside joke. But so we wrote the script, and then we decided to submit it to a. Somehow we got into the idea of submitting it to a screenwriting contest. Now, mind you, never done this before, and didn't know how to, and I honestly don't remember what the screenwriting contest name was, but I remember we submitted it, and I don't remember if we actually won an award at all, but I do remember the reward being feedback. And we were so excited. We got it back. Now, prior to that, we actually submitted it, registered the copyrighted material, and that was a big deal. Every moment along the way was like, whoa, we did that. Whoa, we did that. So we registered it, then we copyrighted it, and then we actually submitted it to a film festival, received feedback, and we thought, somebody was paying attention. Blew our minds. Then now we're looking at each other like, what next? So we decided, well, again, here I go, let's do a trailer. I'm okay with a camera. Let's try it. So we decided to try to put together some kind of trailer. Again, not knowing how to tell a story really, beginning, middle, end, just knew what would be cool to watch. So we pulled together some elements and shot some stuff, and then we had a trailer put together. And you would have thought we had created a movie. We shared that with everybody. That thing was so awesome. I think the movie was called Losing Ground, and I think we'd done some stuff on some dirt, and I don't know. We just thought we were doing the most. It was super creative, and I just thought it was everything, and it was everything. So shot the trailer, and I'll never forget. All of it was on this drive, and we shared it with each other. We didn't share it with the world. We shared it with each other and some people. But I'll never forget. That drive was stolen. It was stolen at church, mind you. It just blew my mind. Like, the drive with all the footage, all of the material that we had put together up to this point was stolen. And I'm thinking, could it get any worse right now? Like, we put all this effort into this thing. Now, at this point, that was my movie. I mean, it wasn't, the whole movie, but the pieces that we put together, the time, the effort, that was my movie. And boy, I tell you, if you don't ever have those moments where it feels like everything is gone, to hell, you don't know what to do next. There's nothing left. So we had a decision to make, and what are we gonna do? And I'll never forget, we decided let's just do another trailer, and centered around him telling his spoken word, and it was hilarious because I didn't quite understand lighting at the time and how to formulate the image that I was looking for, but I was able to somehow. YouTube wasn't a university at the time, so it was really create as you go. And so I knew about 3-point lighting, but we was just in his living room, and I put up blankets, I believe, around him, had him sit on the floor, and we shot this video with him sitting on the floor on his couch, behind the couch. I mean, in front of the couch. The couch was right behind him. And I created this black background, and again, there was no psych stage and all that kind of good stuff. It was just him sitting on the floor with the couch behind him with blankets. And when I tell you, again, I thought I was Steven Spielberg or somebody. We'd put together, I felt like a masterpiece. If you get a chance to look at that video, it's called Sin, and it's a spoken word piece that we put together. I'll actually put a link to it in the comments below. But if you're watching this on video, if you're not, you'll just have to find it on video. But if you go to our page, thebackpackpodcast.com, and watch this video, you'll see a link below to Sin, the spoken word piece. That's what we shot. When we shot that piece, when I tell you, I was over the floor, over the roof we did it. So after we actually shot the piece, and we thought, okay, what next? And so we thought we need some help. So we gathered some people together and said, let's put together like a vision meeting. And so the spoken word piece, the video was our selling point. Like, guys, we can do a movie. And we showed them this video. So we got some people together. Thought we was going to raise a whole bunch of money. We didn't raise much money at all. So we put this, after we put it together, what we did get was support. I'll help you. I can come by. I can do this. I can do that. And that in and of itself was more than enough. So we gathered some people together, and I can name names all day. Vernon Messam, LaShonda Florence, DL, Fred, Adam, Silos, there's a ton of people, and I apologize if I did not name your name, but I'm telling you, we had brought together a crew like none other of misfits. When I tell you, we were learning on the job. Nobody created a movie at this point, and this was all new, independent filmmaking. We were just trying to do what we could do, but when I tell you, we put together something amazing. And I think really what it was about the journey. And I think that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this podcast, because I really believe that the journey is the reward. The people I met along the way, the experience, and the experience that nobody can take away from me. So put this crew together, and we decided we're going to film this movie. And I don't know, maybe 3 weeks it took. We actually cast it, and again, I thought we were some hotshot movie guys, because we were in a cast. We rented out a hotel, I believe, and we brought people in, and we did our casting thingy. I say that because it was like we were just new and we didn't know what we were doing completely, but we did identify some really good actors that were able to find value in what we were doing. It came on board, and absolutely amazing. So at this point, I don't know that we were actually ever looking for a director. I just kind of figured that that's what I would do. And so Carlos was it was him, the producer, I'm the producer, I'm the director, editor, not videographer, because I didn't, I wasn't the camera guy at the time. I was really director, editor. And at this point, we start creating. And I'm pulling people out of it. I remember pulling my my manager at the time, John Cochran, into this production. And I was actually working with him. And I said, "Oh man, you'd be good for this role." And he was like, "What are you talking about?" He had no idea what I was actually doing. I just said, "Hey, could you meet me here?" And I gave him a script the day of, and he actually read it. He was in a club, and he had to do this scene. His name was Big John or Big Mike, and he jumped in and did a phenomenal job. When I tell you, people just tapped in. That after we finished the movie, I edited it. I'll never forget. Vernon and I sat. Vernon was he did the score. Absolutely phenomenal producer, musician. I remember sitting in his house after we finished shooting the movie. Then I thought, man, we gotta have music behind this. So we connected with Vernon, and I remember going to his house, and we had a timeline that we wanted to finish it. And I sat at his house. I promise you, I got off work maybe at 4 or 5 o'clock. And we sat there, and he scored the movie. I think I ate breakfast with him the next day. Like, literally, him and his wife. I remember being asleep. He would go from the guitar to the keyboard to the trumpet. I mean, he was playing every instrument. But he scored the whole movie. Again, nobody knowing what they're doing. And no, turn that up. No, try this. No, this. And it was an event like no other. I couldn't have asked for more for my first movie and for my first experience. It was unbelievable. He was incredible. So at this point, we scored it, edited it, put it all together, and then we decided people need to see it. So we said, everybody, invite your friends, your family. We're going to four-wall this. We're going to put it in. Again, we didn't know anything about what we were doing, but we thought, let's just get it in front of people, see what they think. And man, we put it in front of some people. We had rented out a movie theater that would show it in the format that we had it in. And we made it like a red carpet event, and we had a limo. We had a limo, and we had one limo. We had no money, so I don't know if somebody sponsored it or whatever, but we had one limo. What we would do is we would have everybody, stationed at one area, and we would have that one limo drop people off and come back and get the next group of people. And so everybody looked like they were coming in on the limo, and people were, taking pictures, and it was a line. When I tell you, it felt like we'd made it. I remember forget after they started the movie, and we'd run the credits, and everybody's name would come up, and people would shout their name, and then I saw my name for editor and director, and I couldn't even stand it, because friends or family were shouting or whatever, and I didn't stay in there and watch. I could just hear through the door that people were responding to the movie. And when I tell you, it was probably one of the most greatest feelings, to have started with nothing and manifest something that people could enjoy was one of the greatest moments in my life. That day in that theater, listening to people respond. But I learned so much. So that's unpacking my story about one of the first films that I ever created. What I learned along the way, and what that was able to do for me. One, the movie never really got off the ground, and you say, oh my God, that was a failure. No, I learned marketing is everything. We really, really adamant about us not giving up the rights for the movie, not wanting other people to take the creative rights behind it. Again, not knowing much about the industry, but we just knew we didn't want to get stripped of what we felt like we created. So the movie never got sold. It never really made accolades anywhere outside of, we did get to show it several places, and people responded well to the movie. But we didn't understand marketing at the time, and so the movie didn't go anywhere. I say it didn't go anywhere from the perspective I don't believe it moved further than what we were able to do. So I realized and learned that marketing is everything. People don't know. I would, at the time, put my movie up to anything that was out there. And I should. That's what it's my movie, my work. I should put it up to any movie that's out there. Now, are there better movies? Absolutely. Better works of art? Absolutely. Could I have done a whole lot of things better? Absolutely. But I believed in what I was doing. And so realizing that I didn't have a good understanding of marketing and how to get it out there and the right people around me, we were stuck. We were stuck and we did not move the project further along. What I realized is I really wanted it to go further for the people that were a part of it. You know, we'd kind of create these contracts, and if we made it, then you would get a percentage here, and you know, and so I felt like I failed them because of my ignorance, my not understanding. They put so much hard work into the project, and we did not get the reward outside of the accolade, the verbal accolades, the clapping, the fans, the fun, the family that said, "Oh man, you did a great job," which was really, really important at the time because it really, pushed some people further in their careers, and others it just was a moment. But I learned marketing was huge, in business, and I thought if I could have done that part better, man, where would it have gone? But here's the thing, and this is, again, one of the reasons why I'm doing the Backpack Podcast, because I believe the journey is the reward. No one can take away my experience. The experience of doing an actual movie and actually getting it shown and people actually responding can't take it away from me. Actually editing a full-length movie myself, actually being in a producer's, I don't want to say dungeon, but a producer's lab and actually watching him and being a part of that process, you can't take it away from me. I know what that process is like. When I tell you the journey is the reward, Carlos and I, friends forever, no matter where he is, no matter what he's doing, him and I are connected. Losing ground connects us forever. We did a work that we're both proud of. We know we could have done a better job. We learned so much after that. He's gone on and done commercials and plays, and I believe he's done some movies. He's done a phenomenal body of work in the industry. I have gone on to open up a production company, Mbrace Media. I've done commercials and works of art with Microsoft, Delta Airlines, other companies. So that body of work, that journey was not a loss. It wasn't a failure. It was a learning opportunity. And I want to challenge you, those that are starting out, those that are just walking out your process wherever you are in this journey. I want to challenge you to not just look at, okay, it didn't work, nobody listened. I started a podcast, nobody's listening, nobody's following me, or whatever it is that you feel like that's not working out for you. One, get around some different people, learn some other stuff that you don't know. Get some people who know more than you about what you don't know. Go to YouTube University. Tell your brand story. I think one of the things I think was very instrumental in helping us connect with other people was people hearing our story, seeing our story. I'm so adamant about people having a brand story, because people can't run with your vision if they don't hear it or see your vision. So I think that's extremely important. But in this day and age of social media, you have an advantage. You can tell your story. You can support your story. You can continually tell your story in many, many ways and forms. And I think that's huge. So having a media company is one thing, but then marketing company is one thing, but then have your own form of marketing with social media is another, level of, you can put this thing in your hands. So I just want to encourage you, number one, let us unpack your story. I want to hear your story. I want to hear how you did it. Where were you when you started out? And what did you learn from it? How could you help someone else? That's the whole point of this podcast. I'm looking forward to, having an interview with others and hearing their stories and, taking nuggets and insights and being able to inspire others on their journey. But check us out for the next episode as we unpack your story, as we unpack others, and see where this thing takes us. I appreciate you listening. I appreciate you taking your time out. Check out some of the links. If you're watching this on the video, check out some of the links to some of the works of art that we have, and be ready for the next episode, because we are absolutely going to unpack your story. # let's unpack your story. Until next time, I'm out.